morning again. So this morning I wrote 2 talks. The talk that I'm supposed to talk about, and I wrote the second talk. So what happened is I'm sitting at home, and now we don't have to listen to the news or watch the channel anymore because everything comes to us via Facebook and all of the stuff. And so I'm sitting at home by myself. My husband was at work, and I started hearing what was going on in the world. And so I got deeply saddened. I was so sad. Tears started flowing. Because we have been praying for peace. We have been praying for love. We have been praying for the essence of our beingness to show, right? The luminosity of our spirit. This is who I am. And so when the news came up, it took me a couple of days really to recuperate my, and energy and what Ernest Holmes always, for me, what comes to my mind is when you see a discordant fact turn towards the truth, right? And so I had the hardest time pivoting to that energy of knowing the truth. And so Thursday, I decided I'm going to write about what I'm feeling because I know that if I'm feeling it, everybody else might be feeling it. And so, for you people listening to us or watching us from YouTube or from the comfort of your homes, welcome. Welcome to be here with us. And I hope this also touches our minds, our hearts, and that we can really do that pivoting that it's necessary to find our own space of gratitude and love and peace within. So this is a tender space for me, right? This is my very first talk at the center, Sunday talk at the center, and I wanted to follow the rules, and I wanted to make sure that I did the presentation. So I actually did the talk about what if and whatever that meant. But what felt real to me is talking about what happens inside my heart when I see the news. And it's not about me, right? It's about the world. It's about what's going on in my world, in our world. So I'm not talking from a space of fear, but I want to talk about how we move towards the energy of love, the energy of peace, the energy of seeing the world as whole, perfect, and complete. Because as I see myself, those are the ripple effects that I'm creating in my world. So it's so important for us to enter into spiritual practice. Because we know, as science of mind practitioners or students, we know that something powerful, even in times of turbulence, the presence of love is always guiding us. That we're not floating alone in a world going from here to there, that we really are being moved, being stretched sometimes into that space of holiness, into that space of wholeness, into that space of the luminosity of my spirit, showing in a world that sometimes feels a little bit shaky. So, the next slide, please. I didn't have the clicker. I facilitated a course in miracles for many years, and one of the things that I know that this remains for me to be one of the most important things that the Course in Miracles teaches, that nothing real can be threatened because who we are has nothing to do with this world. We're inhabiting this physical body to be here, this bodysuit to be on this plane, but the reality of our being is spiritual. We are children of the Most High God, so we are living in that energy of holiness, of divine perfection. Even when what we perceive outside of ourselves does not match what we're feeling inside. But that's why it's so important that we really concentrate in times of turbulence into doing our spiritual practice. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So when I sit on my couch in meditation, when I pray for myself, when I pray for others, that is that space of holiness within. That is the space where I want to reside so that I can shine the light, so that I don't jump into the energy of, but I am actually holding the space for peace in my life. So that little ripple effect that I'm throwing into the lake is creating peace, it's creating love, it's creating ease for all of us, especially for those who have children in the service, in the military service, and all of that. So sometimes the world feels heavy. There's conflict, division, uncertainty, and our hearts feel it. We're human, right? We're seeing what's going on out there in the world, but when we try to remain positive and grounded, we are still feeling our tender hearts, right? And we need to allow for that. We need to be in that space of saying, okay, what is right about this that I am not seeing? How can I create the space for something better, something more grounded for myself and for my world? Because what I do matters. Who I am matters. How I show up in my life matters. So there is a collective field, and we are all connected. So even though, we're perceiving that stuff is happening somewhere out there in the world, we're still being affected by it. This is the process. There is oneness in our world, even though a lot of people can't really see that. They can't really connect to the truth of their being. And that's okay too. That's part of God, right? So when something difficult happens in the world, it can stir feelings inside our own hearts, sadness, confusion, and a sense of loss. And in that response is not weakness. It is part of our humanity. And so that's how I was feeling on Tuesday and Wednesday. And that's why this was important for me to talk about today. So even when the events are happening somewhere else, my heart is still feeling them today, right here in Southern California. It's not out there. It's in here. It's within me. So there is only one presence, and this is so important. There is one life expressing through all beings. That means that the emotional experience of humanity ripples through the fields of consciousness. So even when events happen far away, we can feel them energetically. That is when compassion arises. That is why prayer becomes so powerful. When I sit on my couch, when I close my eyes and enter into that space of sacredness, that divine connection, that's when I can move my energy. And sometimes I can't do it on my own. Sometimes I need to ask for help and ask if practitioners are available, or call a friend, right? Or wait for my husband to get home and then he's always the calm one in the family. Our consciousness matters, and our presence matters. So how we affect the world is actually how we step up and get up every morning. And for me, last month was my month of gratitude. Halfway through January, we started with a book that is called The Magic. And in there, you have 28 practices, 28 days to practice gratitude. The book is by Rhonda Burns, and so I decided, now I taught that class in English and Spanish, but this year I decided I am going to do it exactly the way the book says it. And I can tell you that it changed my life. It changed the energy that I was feeling about, graduating. I've been in this process for 3 years, and then all of a sudden I got the news, you're a senior, you're graduating. And I was like, oh no, right? I'm doing this and I like what I'm doing, and now I have to step up and do something different. So change is something that happens all the time, and that's part of life. So my personal thing is that I love beginnings. I get into that energy of new and what's possible and unlimited possibilities, right? But endings, that's not such a good thing. So I realize that every ending is preparing us for a new beginning. So when I close my eyes to the old, it ends. And when I open my heart to and then I open my heart to new beginnings, right? It's, saying goodbye. It's understanding that that is part of the process of being alive. And really, the reason that we're here, Abraham Hicks says that we're here for the contrast, right? So if we are eternal beings that we know that we are, right? Being here is kind of like, we're going to go have a party. Whatever the ups and downs of life may be, doesn't matter. We're here for the contrast. We're here to experience joy. We're here to experience the luminosity of our spirit showing up, right? Not sitting at home and being coy and quiet and depressed because of what's going on in the world, but stepping up, coming to the center, talking to a friend or to a practitioner, stepping up and saying, I believe in peace. I am peace. See, most of the time, I grew up as a Catholic, and my grandmother was very devout. And so I remember going to church and listening to this sermon and doing all of that. And I realized when I found Science of Mind that there's a power within me. See, I was always looking for God outside of me because that was what I was taught, right? I was not a good person. I was a sinner. Just by the fact that I was born. I had nothing to do with it. But I was in sales. I was in real estate sales for a very long time, and I found that I was having a difficult time. So as the way that life shows up, I ended up taking a class at Centers for Spiritual Living in Covina. And they had a class on prosperity. So I said to the woman that was opening the door for us to have the meeting at the church, I want to take that class. And she said, oh, no, this is a better class. And the speaker is much better speaker. And I said, okay. She was a wonderful woman. She passed away maybe 6 years ago, but Nora is the person that introduced me to Science of Mind. Nora had been diagnosed with terminal cancer 25 years earlier. And she found Science of Mind, and she lived 25 years longer. And she was a devout practitioner. So anyway, the very first class that I took at the Centers for Spiritual Living back there, I don't really think they were CSL. They were a different name. It was religious science, I think it was. So the first class was Foundations. My very first class in Science of Mind was the Foundations course, and it changed my life. I'd been in therapy for 5 years, and after that first class, I realized that there was nothing wrong with me. That it was... I'm still trying to fix me, I'm still trying to fix me, but I know that really when I enter into my spiritual practice, I realize the power within me. And standing here is that part of that power for me. How I got here is amazing, and I really do believe in grace. So we moved, and we were looking for a church, and we ended up at the church in Pleasant Valley. And I told them who I was, and then this woman asked me if I wanted to step up and speak on Sundays. And I said, yeah. And so I did. I started, and so here I am. A year and a half later, I'm doing this on a regular basis now, and I am so grateful. But see, I wasn't planning on that. That was not my plan. So my husband and I were talking about grace the other day, and I realized that grace is what happens when we're so busy trying to get somewhere. Right? Grace is happening over here when we're trying to control the outcome in life, and God has a different plan for us. And that's what happened. So this woman invited me to start talking. I had already been given a few talks, but it wasn't on a regular basis. And then all of a sudden, here I am in front of you talking. This is something amazing. It's amazing because it's unfolding by grace, right? It's not like I had a plan that I was going to do this. It's like grace said, okay, here you are, beloved. So my ministerial journey as a student is ending, but the beginning is amazing because I'm open at the top. I'm ready, I'm available, I'm willing. And so when I sit and pray, and especially with everything that has been going on for me in these past few days, I stand at the threshold of that. Where am I stepping into? Where am I going? Right? God, please guide me. Take me where you would have me go. And this is really Oprah's prayer. Take me where you would have me go, because your idea for my life is much greater than anything I could ever dream for myself. And I love that. So let's do that. Let's do that prayer for the world, for the weather, for the economy, for our own health, for our minds, right? There's so much fear. I feel it. I've been part of that. For a very long time in my life, I lived in that fear, not knowing what was next, depending on my idea that I had to control everything in my life so that I could have the outcome that I wanted. But when I found Science of Mind and I started releasing that control, my life started to change. Clients started coming. I didn't have to chase after my clients. The clients started to show up at my house, no less. Who would have known, right? Let it be easy. No, I had to make it really hard. So this year, I am entering a significant birthday, and reaching a new decade of life brings a different perspective to me, right? I'm stepping into a few thresholds this year. My age, graduated from ministerial school, finding a new center where I can serve, and just stepping up, just stepping outside of the limitations that I pose for myself, releasing all of the self-limiting beliefs that I've held so strongly to. Like Jeannie said, what if? What if everything in my life is going to turn out perfectly? What if whatever is going on in the world is for a better world? Not that I accept or I agree with the way that we're getting to that, but I'm not God. Right? God has its own way of showing us the way. And so as I was, and I'm talking about grace. My friend calls me, she's also in ministerial schools, and she says, what the heck is going on with you? Because we had a meeting, a graduation meeting the night before, and I wasn't myself. And so my friend calls and she says, what's going on with you? You're not like this. And so I told her, well, I'm going through this. I have been experiencing a deep sadness. This is not what I want. This is whatever. And so we started talking, and I started releasing that and entering into that space of gratitude. Gratitude. But the one thing the reason that I brought that up is because she said, this person knows Science of Mind because he studied it. And I said, well, how can it be possible that somebody that has the knowingness, the study, and the beliefs that we have, he says, yeah, but he's not using it for good. Right? Yes. That's big. That's big. Because we're using it for good. And what is the greatest power in the universe? It's love. Right? So, what has my life meant up to this point? What is still trying to emerge through me? What gifts are still waiting to be expressed? Right? They're there. They're knocking at the door and saying, hey, Mirna, open the door. Open your mind. So when I was a child, my mother used to braid my hair, and it was so tight, But I used to have a recurrent dream. And the dream was that I was looking with my tight, long braids. I was looking at this window, but on the other side of the window, there was a brick wall. So I couldn't see past it. Because every time I opened the window, I would see the brick wall, right? So what was that dream telling me, right? It took me years to figure it out. And again, science of mind came into my life, and that's how I figured it out. I needed to open the windows and look past the brick, past all of the self-limiting ideas that I had about my life, which is not easy. So, in asking questions, sometimes wonderful things happen to us. The soul becomes louder than the ego. The heart becomes wiser than the mind. So, do I want to listen to my soul in this moment? Absolutely. Do I want to pray knowing that the truth of my being is peace, is love, is abundance, that my world is always being experienced in the best possible way because God is with me. I am part of that divine wholeness. We all are. So, it is about anchoring ourselves in a deeper reality, the reality that life is always guided by an intelligence greater than anything we can see. So when we enter into our meditation and prayer, it helps us. It helps us remember the truth of who we are. It brings us back to our center. The next slide, please. There is a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. Do we need that greater power right now? Yes, we do. The teaching is not an abstract philosophy. It is practical spiritual guidance. When we align our thoughts with love, peace, and truth, we are actually activating this power of good for ourselves and for our universe. That's the ripple effect that we're wanting to cause. Through our consciousness, through our willingness to be a presence of peace. That is love. That is a greater love than sitting at home and crying on my couch. That is a greater experience that I can bring to my world when I open myself up and say, hey, this is what I'm feeling. Are you feeling the same? Can we talk about this? Can we share our emotional glue that is keeping us sitting and crying? Can we just release that? What if the world is always at peace? What if the weather is perfect every day of the week, every day of the year? What if we're being moved in a direction of awakening to our soul consciousness? What if whatever is going out outside of me is part of the process of cleansing? So Mexico, the next slide, please. Mexico had news a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and someone posted, "Oh, my beautiful Mexico is burning," and no, Mexico is not burning. Mexico is cleansing, and so are we in the United States, and so are we in everywhere else in the world. We're opening the space for wholeness. We're opening the space to wake up, to show our luminosity of spirit. It is a transformation. So what the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls the butterfly, right? Transformation change is really very seldom soft and gentle. Sometimes we need to be bombarded by it, for lack of a better word. So, inside the chrysalis, everything dissolves. The old disappears completely. So if we saw the moment without understanding the process, we might think something terrible had happened. But in truth, something miraculous is being created. Humanity may be experiencing a similar transformation right now. All systems are dissolving. New possibilities are emerging. Are we ready? Are we ready to say yes? Yes, my beloved, because that's what Spirit always tells us. The only thing that I have to remember for myself is to really step into possibility instead of retrieving into sadness. So our role is to remain centered in love and in peace in this process. So in times of change, each of us faces choices. Will we allow fear to close our hearts? Or will we allow compassion to expand them? Will we react with anger or respond with wisdom? Our spiritual practice helps us to choose consciously. So yeah, sitting on the couch is a must for me. Doing my morning ritual is a must for me. Lighting my candle every morning is a must for me. Keeps me balanced, keeps me grounded. Because every thought we think contributes to the energy of the world. Every thought contributes to the field of humanity. Peace within us creates peace in our world. This means that your presence matters more than you realize. Your peace contributes to the peace of the world. Your kindness contributes to the healing of humanity. Every prayer we offer becomes a ripple of love in the collective consciousness. This is how spiritual communities change the world. Quietly, lovingly, powerfully. And so I have a couple of closing affirmations, because today what I want to do is to remember a simple truth, that we're not alone in this world. Even when circumstances appear uncertain, the deeper movement of life is always toward greater good. So together we affirm, I am held in the arms of love. Just repeat with me, please. I am held in the arms of love. Life is always unfolding for my good. Life is always unfolding for my good. My heart remains open. My heart remains open. One more slide. We cannot be in peace until we know that the Spirit is the only cause, medium, and effect of our lives. There is no past, present, and future to it. Evil has no history and has never entered into the being of the experience of reality. The mind must come to know and to realize all of this truth if it is to have real and lasting peace of mind. From Ernest Holmes. So let's close our eyes and go into the silence. Take a deep breath and feel the presence. That presence that is always within, that is always there to guide us, to enlighten us, to love us. So today I choose to keep my heart open, because even when the world trembles, love is still the most powerful force moving through the universe, and is moving through us now. So let us turn inward for this moment. And so I recognize that there is one life, one divine presence expressing itself everywhere. This presence is love, the power that sustains the universe, and the wisdom that guides all life. We honor the knowing that God is our source, our substance, and our supply. With gratitude, we receive these gifts with love and respect. We know that these offerings, I went to a different prayer. So even when the world trembles, love remains steady. I affirm that this love moves through our hearts as compassion, wisdom, and peace. It heals what has been wounded, softens what has been hardened, and reminds us that we are one human family. I trust the unfolding of life and the awakening of humanity to a higher consciousness of love and unity. With deep gratitude, I release the word into the creative law of the universe knowing that it is already done. And we all say, and so it is.